The dust has settled, the smoke has cleared. It's time to unpack everything that occurred in an historic Game 7 that will never be forgotten. I'm Dan, that's Kyle, and we're here with Keegan. And Keegan, the one thing as I try to get myself past the Blue Jays loss, losing in 7 to the LA Dodgers, is I keep reminding myself, well, sports is entertainment. Weren't you entertained?
Yeah, it's like if there was a TV show that 29 out of every 30 episodes ruined your entire week. You know, it's like entertainment, right? We have to tell ourselves a lot of lies to put up with sports and with baseball and with whatever we're into. But my God, that's got to be the most heartbreaking loss in team history. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And I don't think it's close. And I think if you went back through MLB history, that is as close as a team can get to winning a World Series
Yeah.
with as big an uptick in a market as you're ever going to find from a fan base following a team. Like it's I know I'm not helping people here, but it is an all-time baseball heartbreak that people are going to be talking about forever for the wrong reason.
I can pretty much guarantee you that people in Toronto right now are very, very concerned that 1993 is going to start sounding like 1967 in a hurry.
Yeah.
Because it did seem like they had a bit of the perfect storm to get this done this year, and they were great. But in the end, they just weren't quite good enough.
Everything went their way this year. And every player that could have overachieved. They were, relatively speaking, very healthy. They had success stories like George Springer, who no one saw coming. Trey Yesavage, no one saw coming. Everything went their way this year. And guys, this was also a year where I think the rest of baseball was pretty wide open. The American League was wide open this year. This was not a strong year for the American League. And even the LA Dodgers, I think the Blue Jays caught them at, playing like 8 out of 10 baseball. The Dodgers did not play their best baseball in the World Series. And for a lot of this best out of 7, the Blue Jays were the best team, probably for the majority of it. But I think, guys, we talked about this going into the series, that it's not always the best team. It's just who gets to 4 first. And man, what a tough one.
Yeah, and everyone's breaking down every single play. The IKF short lead, the Hoffman giving up a home run to the number 9 hitter. You're left the entire offseason thinking about those plays. But I always bring up the 1985 Blue Jays, the team I fell in love with baseball over. And they had a 3-1 lead on the Kansas City Royals in the ALCS, and they lost that in 7. So a franchise can recover. Yes, it took them 7 years, but then they went back to back. So stumbles do happen.
They do. You got to find your footing quick, though. It's a big offseason. Guys, every single offseason, we can stretch the language to make it the biggest offseason in franchise history. Like, I'm guilty of that. I write that silly narrative every year, I think. But this offseason, guys, I think back to the offseason between 92 and 93, even when they won, and they reloaded, but in a way different way. I think the narrative around this team is going to be run it back. Bring back Max Scherzer and Chris Bassett. And, okay. I don't think priority number 1 should be bringing back very old starting pitchers. I think there's ways to do this better and sustain this window because you've got money. You have an identity. You have a farm system. The Blue Jays have everything they need to keep this going and to be the start of something. So I don't think this team will be back, but this organization should be back. And guys, that 92 to 93 pivot is, I think, a model here. They turned over close to half of their 40-man roster. I'm trying to think. They brought in Molitor, Dave Stewart. Mid-season, they brought in Ricky Henderson. They brought back Tony Fernandez. Joe Carter almost went to Kansas City. That's something that never gets mentioned enough. They almost lost Joe Carter in between those 2 series. So big moves are going to need to happen. I think that this is already being cast as an offseason where they'll just get it back together one more time. And I think people are going to be surprised by how much activity there actually will be. I think it's going to be busy.
And Keegan, it can't go unsaid that they play in one of the most difficult divisions to get out of in all of professional sports. And this year, part of that perfect storm was the fact that the ultra-rich Red Sox and Yankees they weren't quite themselves. They're going to spend big in the offseason too. Those changes may be necessary because it's very unlikely they will catch both of those teams in a bit of a lull again.
Yeah, the Yankees are going to be ticked off. Their pride will be hurt. They were just beat by that little town league team up in Canada, apparently. So they will be trying to come back and spend and spend and spend. They'll have Garrett Cole back. They will be making moves. Boston will be making moves. They've got a taste now of what it's like to be back a little more competitive. Boston's going to be a real thing. Tampa never goes away, and Baltimore is going to bounce back. Maybe they will come to their senses and get some pitching. I mean, my God, they should get some pitching. But this division is going to be a mess again, guys. And the standard now has to be the division. It should have been that for a long damn time in Toronto. But in Toronto for too long, the standard was, okay, get in. Playoffs are just luck anyways, which is what people who lose say. People who win the World Series, no, there's no luck in the playoffs. But the Blue Jays were content with that for too long. Now it's about the division, and it should be. It's about winning the AL East because, guys, we just saw what an advantage that is. What an incredible advantage it is to be that number one seed, to be starting at home and ending at home. It's very real. It's worth chasing, and it's going to be hard, man. I'm interested to see where their kind of win totals and over-unders start out for next year. Expectations are going to be high, but everything doesn't go right every year like it did this year, and they're going to be facing a really tough road back.
You mentioned the big spenders. How about the Blue Jays? So the Yankees and Red Sox, they're looking at the high-ticket items in the store. The Blue Jays, they aren't looking at the discount rack, but they're like, what about this stuff over here? So are they maybe in a completely different buying category in hopes of getting guys that exactly fit into this version of the Jays that they established? They have an identity, and they don't want to F up that identity.
That's the touchy one, Dan, and I'm interested to see how they handle this because the team identity and culture are, for most teams, fake words. It's fluff. Everyone talks about it every year. No one really gets it. The Jays have it now. And that's a very, very rare thing in any sport, but certainly in baseball, to have a legitimate culture and identity that when young players come up, they form and shape themselves to that. And that's where the magic is. Now, I'm also a believer, guys, that when you do have a strong clubhouse culture, that allows you to absorb a guy who might not be the best fellow or fit it perfectly. Someone who's a little more abrasive. There's two sides to that argument. But if they're going to be spending, and my God, they better be spending, I think they should be looking at everything and everyone because Rogers ownership has proved that they are willing to spend and eager to spend. They spent coming into this season when they kind of sucked last year. Now you have a taste of what happens on your TV channel when your team makes the World Series. That advertising money. For some reason, they print hats and shirts for the division, the ALCS, and the World Series now. Maybe someone's making money off of that. Ownership did not lose money on this postseason run. Let me tell you that. So this should only increase spending. This should only increase the appetite for spending because once you get a taste of this, you can't go back. You can't go back to being an 85-win team. It just doesn't work anymore. And I think they should be with the big boys now.
And so you have to assume this offseason, for so many different reasons, from the clubhouse makeup to actual production, Bo Bichette has to be priority one for this team. Or is he going to walk? Is he going to end up somewhere else? What kind of numbers would it take to keep him in Toronto?
Man, he is going to have the biggest gap between his ceiling and floor of maybe any top-end prospect on this market. And that goes for years as well, because some teams will look at him and say, man, this guy can OPS 825. He can hit 300. We'll deal with him being maybe not the best shortstop in the world. That's all right. A lot of teams will look at him and say, you're a second baseman now. And that's going to be a big gap for Bichette here when he comes into this market. His agent is going to have a lot of work cut out for them. What the Blue Jays have is the tiebreaker right now because Bo wants to stay here. And I've covered Bo's whole career. He doesn't talk a ton. And when he does talk, you listen to him because he's serious and he means what he says. He's said over and over, I want to be in Toronto. I want to play with Vladdy. That's real. He means that. He does not mean I will take 50 million less, though. And I think we get carried away with that every offseason and in every sport. The sentimental value of, oh, he likes it here. None of these guys are spending their winter here. Okay. It's you've still got to pony up the money, but the Blue Jays have the tiebreaker that if two teams offer Bo 7 years at 180, 200 million, he's going to take the Jays offer if it's a tie. Now, getting into that 200, low 200 range, maybe that's the peak of where this goes over those 7-8 year range. The Willy Adames contract was kind of always the example I used. But position is going to matter a ton here. And that goes for the Blue Jays just as well.
Did you keep your Bo Bichette article that you had written for Game 7, that the man returns, has his Kirk Gibson moment, and the Blue Jays ride off into the sunset?
And as always, it was a better story, too. You know, it's some of these I keep in a file on my computer, but I still can't believe it, guys. Yeah. I really can't.
2 outs away.
2 outs away.
But tell me, being there, even when they had that lead, I was sitting there. I'm like, we need way more runs. I at no point felt safe with that lead.
And because the Dodgers are too good. The top of the lineup was going to come back again, but then it didn't even take the top of the lineup. It took the 9-hitter. And there were just so many moments, guys. I feel like Jays fans forever are going to be going back over Kiner Falefa. Was he led off enough at third? Should he have run through home plate? No and yes. The catch that Andy Pages made in center field, slamming into the left fielder, ridiculous. All of those close plays, the home runs given up by Hoffman, but also by Yesavage and Bieber. All of these things adding up, guys, that if one of them happened in a game, it's tough. 5, 6 of them happened. I can't believe it still that we're not talking about a World Series team here. I'm still completely shocked by it.
Speaking of Trey Yesavage, I have this thing in the back of my head right now where has anyone ever started their career more dramatically than this? Like, how does seriously, like, how does this guy follow this up next year? Because he is now a Major League Baseball player for the rest of his career, without doubt. So what does it look like for him going forward next season?
Yeah, it's got to be a letdown, right? I mean, I think even of next spring training guys, and I was saying this to a couple of the other writers, like, am I really supposed to show up and care that some minor league guy is throwing a different pitch now? Like, am I supposed to show up and ask Kevin Gausman about how his middle finger is placed differently on his splitter and pretend I care about this now after seeing Game 7 of a World Series? I'm sure in 3 months I'll be perked up and I'll be able to do it. But once you experience this, everything else feels a bit smaller. And for Trey Yesavage, I mean, ramping back up in spring training, last spring, he wasn't even on the major league side. He was in a minor league clubhouse somewhere else. I don't think John Schneider talked to him much beyond hello. So it's going to be different. And you need to embrace the boring stuff. I know that starters and big leaguers, they talk about their process, which is a word I hate because it usually means nothing. But veteran starters like Scherzer, like Gausman, like Jose Barrios, the reason they're good is because they have routines and processes that they work through. The reason that so many kids come up throwing 100 and then you never see them again is because all they care about is throwing 100, not the work that goes in between starts. So that's going to be the education of Trey Yesavage now. It's not going to be nearly as fun as any of this. But God, he must be minus $1 billion to win Rookie of the Year next year. At this point, he'll still have his status, and it's going to be amazing to watch.
Mentioned how Rogers and the Blue Jays like to make money. Here's a free moneymaker that I can hand to them. A dasher board around the bottom of the outfield fence with sponsorship on that.
I thought you were going to suggest fixing the app, but I like this too.
Because that is going to be talked about all season long.
Oh, yeah. Never seen it.
Never.
Neither have any of them. Just even that game. What a mess. The Blue Jays felt like they were going to come back in Game 6, too. That's going to get forgotten by history. But the ball being wedged, and then much more importantly, Barger getting thrown out at second base, which can't happen. I know it's a strange play, but it can't happen. That's going to be forgotten just because of how big Game 7 was. But that extends the heartbreak, guys. It was right in front of them.
That reminds me. So Kike was playing at that same depth, and that's why he had to get run over because he was playing so shallow on
Crazy.
that hit to the wall by Ernie.
Yeah, he plays as shallow as almost anyone in Major League Baseball in left field. Kike does, and he's fun to watch. I know Jays fans don't want to hear that right now, but he's a fun player to watch. The fact that Pages held onto that ball, even when they collided, the collision just seemed to move his glove upward and not side to side in any way. You just can't make this stuff up. You can't.
And he was in as a defensive replacement too. Like he was literally put in for that reason. An all-time move. Exactly. Just like bringing Rojas in for the last couple of games. It's just, it's crazy. One more free agent I'd like to ask you about, because Shane Bieber, he was good. He did good things for the Jays, but I don't think at any point we would ever say that he was exceptional. So where does his free agency stand? Because by all accounts, he did seem to really enjoy the Toronto clubhouse and really enjoy his run here. Do you think he wants to be back?
I do, if the money's right. He seemed to say all the right things that a lot of players say, especially about how the Blue Jays treat families and their facilities and stuff, which honestly does matter. I underestimated that a few years back, guys. My aim was off on that. It really does matter. And word gets around. Players' families talk, their wives talk, their brothers talk. And how the Jays treat players is top of the line, first class. Bieber, kind of like Bichette, guys, I'd say the same thing, where I think he might be the most interesting pitching free agent. He won't make the most money. He's not the best pitching free agent. But if he had finished this year strong, he could have been in line for one of those 8-year, $200 million cash-in deals. He looked okay. So I think that right now for Bieber, he might end up looking at one of those 2 or 3 year deals that's heavy with options, that if he looks great in year one, he can pull the chute and go right back to free agency. Or he could sign on for 4 or 5 years and take the guaranteed money. But he's going to have a lot of options to take on player option contracts and be flexible, maybe re-enter free agency, especially with the potential for a work stoppage coming up. That'll impact a lot. But Bieber is a smart guy. This is his big shot at cashing in. It just comes at a bit of an awkward time. People know he's good, but is he great coming out of surgery? We don't have the answer yet.
Well, Keegs, we know you're great, and we're now clocking you out. We rode this roller coaster from spring training right up to Game 7 with you every step of the way. Thank you for that. And what are your plans now? Are you going off to an island for a month? What do you got going?
Man, completely off the grid. I watched yesterday on Sunday. If there was 12 hours of football on, I watched 13 hours. It was truly a blessing. I'm just going to let myself go. I'm not going to wear a tie or a jacket for a long time, but we'll see. It creeps up quickly, guys. I booked spring training this morning. How dark is that?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you know what?
I had to rip the Band-Aid off.
Before you go, Keegs, you're a Bills guy, so I'd like to hear. You're not a Bills guy, you're a Packers guy, but I'd like to hear your quick thoughts on Josh Allen from yesterday before Dan and I get into it. Because if you probably watched more football than either he or I did yesterday, so.
Man, that was pretty. He's got Patty Mahomes in the regular season, doesn't he? I mean, come on. They need to keep that magic going. I was hoping you were going to show that exact picture there, but some of the runs that he was on, it was great, and enjoyed the game myself because I've lured my girlfriend into liking football via the Kelsey Mahomes Swift pathway.
The great
so
pathway.
many of us has. Thank you. So so tough day for her, but man, the Bills are rolling this year, and we talked about it last week. They were one play away last year, just like the old Blue Jays. They were one play away. They were not a fatal flaw away, and they look really, really good. But Josh Allen might be playing best I've ever seen him.
Keegs, when referring to your girlfriend, never say you're lured or anywhere.
Yeah, no, tough moment. There we go. There's the clip that brings me down. It was a good year, fellas, but we all knew the end was coming for me.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
You got it, fellas.
That's Keegan Matheson, our MLB insider. He was in the building, and he is still befuddled, I think is the best word to describe Jays fans on this Monday.
Yeah, Dan, I don't take these things generally too personally because I'm always able to step back and enjoy the theater of sports, but I cannot remember the last time I have thought and replayed ball stuck in the wall, short lead off third, not a slide, all those moments, the crash between the two outfielders by the Dodgers. I'm replaying them over and over and realize how close this was and how hopeless must some of the Dodgers fan base have felt after game 5, going back into our barn, and
They're in
man,
shock. I have a lot of Dodgers
yeah,
friends,
same.
and they're like, "Man, your guys' team is awesome. Like, I can't believe we won." They actually feel bad about winning. But I'm in a situation here at my house where I'm sure a lot of Canadians are in the same thing. Like last night, I hop out of the shower, and it's almost like my lady's joining me mid conversation. I say to her out of the blue, he should have just ran full speed through home. It wasn't a four split. She goes, "You're still talking about this?" I'm like, "It just happened yesterday."
It's coming back. Like, I've been in a couple of car accidents in my life, and every now and again you remember like the moment of impact or something. That's what I'm getting from like botched plays or like breaking balls left up in the zone to number 9 hitters or whatever it is. Whatever we saw, I'm just, was that a breaking ball that he hit out, or was it a fastball? I can't remember.
That was a breaking ball. It was low.
I thought so.
How
Oh,
about
it
the
was
fact
low?
that there was the bench is cleared and we aren't even talking about that?
I know, it's like it was a pretty epic World Series from start to end. An 18 inning game, the bench is clear, controversial calls. Like, there was a point where that game nearly ended on a challenge. The World Series almost ended on a challenge, and then it was the quickest decision ever made.
So fast.
But it is what it is. Like that.
It was entertaining.
It was entertaining.
It was from all indications, one of the best game 7s in history, as far as things that occurred, controversy. It had it all. It just didn't have the result that Jays fans wanted. And the fact that Hoffman served that up, and I had a buddy text me just before, that goes, "How you feeling?" I'm like, "He's got this. He's got everyone's confidence back. He's got his confidence back."
Yeah, it certainly seemed like down the stretch late in the season, he had completely lost that. It was gone. We talked about it endlessly. Everyone was talking about it. And then one day he just found it again. He had a couple of good outings, and then he was lights out Hoffman again until he wasn't.
Ernie Clements, it's a World Series or a postseason record with 30 hits. So now we will be turning our focus on this channel to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me pull up the standings. They're 7th in the Atlantic.
Here we go. Because
7th in the Atlantic. What's going on with this team?
Well, I mean, they're kind of starting the way the Blue Jays did. I don't want anyone to get their hopes up just yet. The experiment without Mitch Marner hasn't gone exceptionally well yet, but they're still above 500. And the thing is now that they're dealing with is that, okay, now everyone's paying attention to you, because as of today, this is pretty much our last Blue Jays broadcast, and we won't be alone in that. And all of a sudden, the Toronto Sports, the Raptors are no threat to do anything. Nobody cares what the Argonauts have done. I don't even know if they're still in the CFL. The Scepters haven't started yet. So what are we really looking at here? We're looking at a ton of media pressure on the Toronto Maple Leafs team that has been underperforming this season, but now the lights are actually shown upon them, and it's going to make things real difficult for them if they don't change things in a hurry.
And just checking on Mitchie Marner, he's got 14 points in 11 games, so he's doing okay in Vegas.
Yeah, and that line's the number 1 line in the NHL by all accounts. So, I mean, things are going pretty well for him. Weather's nice. And, what can you do?
Okay, well, any words for people getting over this game? The one thing I can give them is, hey, we will never forget it. We all enjoyed it together. And this team will be back. Hopefully it doesn't, like I said earlier, take 7 years like it did after the 85 collapse, but teams do recover.
Yeah, I think they should have, of course, depending on what happens in the offseason, I think there should be a lot of hope for this team moving forward right now, because the Yankees they bumble a lot of things, right? They overspend on the wrong people. You can get out of this division again with this lineup. You bring Bichette back, some Bieber or someone like Bieber. They have a good lineup top to bottom. It's a heartbreaking way to lose a series, and you shouldn't be over it yet. But don't sour. Don't become this people like sending threats to IKF and stuff. Don't become that group of people. Like, just stop with that shit. Like this is a good ball team that gave us everything. And if you can't take some solace in that, what do you actually, sorry you lost your parlay, but this is a great, great baseball team full of good guys. And take something from that. It was a great ride, man. It really was.
It was awesome, and just, try to think about opening day when the players are announced next year. It's gonna be that vibe is gonna return immediately to the Rogers Center, so, we just have to get through the winter. We'll be back Wednesday. We'll see you then.